Allow me, without wasting time, to welcome Bri. Share with us briefly how to discover uniqueness. Thank you.
I need to keep my time, make sure I respect time. Thank you very much. I'm very thankful to be here. I'm also going to be like Charlene and walk out a bit here. It's okay. I'm so grateful to be a part of this. I love hearing stories. I loved hearing your story. And my husband was not lying when he said every time you hear your story, you hear something different. Because as by his wife, I didn't hear some of those things ever before. So I love to hear stories. On the poster, it lists me as a cross-cultural expert. It's because I love to hear stories. I love to hear stories. I love to hear what made someone who they are, what formed them, what created them. When I was young, I was born without a father. And my father, he was gone before I was born. And I was raised by a man who was not my father. And when he left, my mother also lost herself, and she left the home many days she couldn't be found. So at the age of 12, I was without parents. And I felt that it was my fault as a child. I felt like my father didn't want me, my mother didn't want me, and so I had this void inside of me that I was unlovable. I had this void that I just wanted to be accepted, I wanted to be loved. So I became like a chameleon. You know, the small reptile that changes color, you know, in each environment. As I became like that because I thing that I could be to cause anyone to love me. If this group wanted me to be like this, I would be like this, hoping for someone to accept me and love me. If this group wanted me to be like this, I would be like this, hoping for someone to accept me and love me. And because of my situation and because of the time, I became wild. I was one of those children I pray none of your children ever become. I was a wild, wild child. I became addicted to alcohol and drugs from the age of 13. I don't know how many boyfriends, because anyone who would tell me, you know, I would love you, I'll accept you, I would give him whatever he wanted. Anyone who would say, hey, you know, let's go have fun, let's drink this, let's do this, and you can be part of us, I'd say, I'm there, right? So I became the opposite of uniqueness. I only wanted to belong somewhere. My older sister during this time, she began to just have this anger against our community and our families, and she said she just wanted to escape. But for me, I just wanted to belong. I just longed to belong anywhere. And I had this friend who began to pray for me. She prayed for me for many months that I would discover my true identity. And she prayed, and she had this plan that she prayed that she would invite me to church, and I would go to church with her, and the handsome young men would find me attractive, and I would like their attention, and I would stay at the church. So she invited me to church with the handsome young men, and I liked their attention. But the thing that I remembered was the first day I entered into the sanctuary with her. We came late. The worship had already begun. We walked into the building, and as the back doors opened, it was like if you ever take the lid off a pot or open an oven and the heat hits you. It was like that. I could feel like a wave of something hit me. And I knew right then, that is what I've been longing for. That is what's going to fill this emptiness inside of me. That is what's going to make me complete. I just felt the presence and the love of Jesus Christ. And I was like, that is my completeness. And so I went on a journey, and I wasn't perfect from the beginning. Sometimes I would slip back and come back. But then throughout my life, God began to take me on a different journey. From the first time when I was in university, at the age of 18, I had the opportunity to travel to other countries. And I was so interested and curious to know why people were the way they were. And I go to another country. As my brother Charlene can testify, we're all so different, right? You know, ignorant Americans think all Africans are the same. You are not. Africans are not all the same. I know Rwandans are not like Ugandans at all. You know? Kenyans are not like Tanzanians. You know, I know you're so unique, right? And I love that. I love to see that and just look back in the history of this nation and your nation and see what created the people, what created this culture. And so I'm actually a professional question asker. I'm always asking questions, and I'll find someone who says something that's unique, and I say, oh, let me ask someone else, and I'll ask someone else. And throughout my life, I've had the opportunity to travel to many, many countries, to live in many countries on 3 different continents, and I love to study people. And I find the uniqueness in each of them, and I love it. I love the uniqueness of each of them. But what I have discovered that helped me to find my uniqueness was to discover what I believed in, what I felt was important. Because when you discover what is the most important thing in your life, engage everything else against that thing, then you know who you are, right? And the second thing that helped me to understand my uniqueness is when I began to serve. Because if you are serving yourself and you want to know who you are for your own good, you will never find it, because you will always trying to be what other people want you to be to succeed. But when you begin to serve others and consider others, then you discover, this makes me happy. This, I'm good at this. I can do this. And so I want to encourage you that if you want to find your uniqueness, number 1, decide what is the most important thing you believe in and make that the number 1 thing in your story. And number 2, don't keep it to yourself. The thing about personality, the thing about service is the more we give, the more we get. The more we give away who we are, the more we discover who we are. And now I am so honored to be married to my husband, who we are very, very different. He told you he's from bush boy. He didn't wear shoes until he was 15 years old. I'm going to tell you that. He put on his first pair of shoes. He went to town. His brother gave him money. He came to Kigali, got his first pair of shoes. And the whole way home, he's hurting and he's hurting and he's hurting. He's like, what's wrong with these shoes? They make my feet hurt so much. And he goes home, he tells his brother, something's wrong with these shoes. They hurt my feet so much. And his brother said, well, you got the wrong size. And he says, they come in sizes? What? So that's the man I love to be married to. And I'm not a city girl. I'm a farm girl in a small community. Had no idea that Africa was not a country. You know, as most ignorant people were. And here we are from completely 2 different worlds, forming our own uniqueness as our family. And our children are not American. Our children are not Rwandan. Our children get to find exactly who they are in the mix of the world. And I love that. It's been such a journey for me to not only see my children grow up in their uniqueness, but to work with many people. I've lived in many countries, but I've had the amazing opportunity to work with people from over 100 different countries, to form relationships and have deep conversations with people from all over the globe. And it's so beautiful, and I love it. We had someone stay with us about a year ago who was on a mission to visit every single country in the world, documenting the move of Christ around the world. And wherever he went, he would stay with people, he would be hosted, and he stayed with us for an extended time. And I would spend hours and hours and hours sitting with him. Tell me about this country. Tell me about this country. What's unique about this? What's unique about that? And it's so beautiful just to see the world that we are and the uniqueness that we are. And so again, I just want to encourage you, if you want to discover your uniqueness, find what is most important. Find what you believe in the most and use that to serve others. Thank you.